Let's talk about what's wrong with LSU right now after losing to Ole Miss. LSU offense has struggled all season to put points on the board, to convert. They had one offensive outbreak against Southeastern, which is really not saying anything because it's Southeastern. In a game with Clemson, they really couldn't put the ball in the end zone. In a game against Florida, they had 5 interceptions, including a pick six, and they still really couldn't score many points. Louisiana Tech played great defense against them, and so a lot of people are putting this at the feet of Garrett Nussmeier. Is Garrett Nussmeier hurt, or is he just not making the throws? They're putting it at the feet of the offensive coordinator, Sloan. Is he calling the right plays? We saw a very questionable 2-point conversion where they motioned Juwan Johnson out as a receiver and they motioned him back in, and then they handed it off to him. And you see number 71 Adams and Bauer Sharp just completely whiff on 2 blocks that should have been made. Sometimes you look back at that film and you just look at the offensive line and they're not touching anybody. They're falling over each other. They're falling back. They're getting pushed back. They're not getting any push forward. Caden Durham is supposed to be a phenomenal running back, supposed to be, burning it up. And Caden Durham can't seem to get going. So clearly there's something going on with this team. And I think they have the weapons at receiver. Berrien Brown, Xavion Thomas, Aaron Anderson. Them guys can get loose. You saw Xavion make something out of a catch and took it another, I don't know how many yards. Aaron Anderson hasn't scored a touchdown this season, but he's perfectly capable of getting loose and getting out there. But Garrett Nussmeier, he's supposed to be a Heisman candidate and a first-round pick. And one thing I noticed about Nuss is that a lot of those balls he threw, they look like prayers. I mean, they were floating in the air for so long. Hilton had to stop for one. There was a couple where he's not hitting guys in stride. He threw one ball at Aaron Anderson, and Aaron Anderson had to catch it behind his head like that and then bring it forward, right, on a drag. He threw another ball that was almost in the dirt. I'm watching some of the film on him, and when he has a good pocket, he keeps backing up. And then, he makes, instead of stepping up into the pocket and throwing it, he's making the pass longer. He's making it more readable to the defenders. Some of the interceptions he's thrown this year are absolutely insane. There was one against Louisiana Tech where he broke the pocket and he started jogging to his right, and he's looking, and then he throws this pick across his body. He throws the ball across his body and throws a pick. In this game, he had 2 receivers running in the same area. I don't know who he was trying to hit, but he threw it into triple coverage, picked. You had the 4th and 1, right? So it's 4th and 1. You clearly have to run the ball, right? It's 4th and 1. You call a timeout. Brian Kelly goes insane. Even Sloan in the booth is saying, "What the hell are you doing, Garrett?" when you read his mouth. Then they come back from the timeout. And what do? They false start. After the timeout, after blowing the timeout, after the 4th and 1, false start. Now it's 4 and 6 or whatever. And they end up converting on that drive. But I don't really think this is on LSU's defense. Their defense is okay. It's fine. But when you have the defense on the field for so long, they're going to give up something. They're going to get tired. And I know Coach Kelly said that he didn't think his defense was tired. I think they were. And I didn't like the adjustment on defense, actually, to Trinidad Chambliss throwing those quick passes to the right. Every time, they ran a lot of RPOs, a lot of, read option. And anytime he faked the handoff, he always looked right. You never saw Trinidad Chambliss hike that ball and look left or go through his reads. He was like this the whole game, throwing it to the right. So there was one sequence where he kept picking on PJ Woodland, number 11, right? And they would either get a PI on him, he would convert it, or in the case of DJ Pickett being on that right side, or the left corner, if you're looking from the safety standpoint, your left corner, your right corner, and your right corner, if you're looking as the quarterback, right, against your receiver on the right, and the left corner against your receiver on your left, Chambliss was hiking that ball and throwing it right every time. And so Pickett interfered on one, which was a pick six that got called back. But honestly, they could have won that game, man. They could have won that game if they just completed some semblance of offense. And going back to Nussmeier, so Brian Kelly is saying, mentioned that Nuss is hurt, right? That he's been dealing with an injury. So when you ask Nuss, Nuss says, I'm not gonna speak on my health. Well, if he was not hurt, wouldn't he just say, I'm perfectly fine, I'm healthy? So he must be hurt if he's saying that. And if he's hurt, one thing I don't like about what's not being brought to this team, what this team clearly had a problem with over the weekend, and that's a mobile quarterback, a dual quarterback. In college and football today, you have to be able to not be a statue in the pocket, man. There was one play where Nuss had a gap this big on his left. His pocket was on his right. He's looking to his right for receivers. If he took that ball and took off through that pocket, he could have ran for 30 yards. I think they were manned up, and they had a receiver going across his face, right? And the DB was the only person on that side of the field, and he ran with the receiver. The only person that was on the left was the tackle that was defending, blocking the end, and the pocket was a little bit more to the right. The gap was to the, all he had to do was run and keep it. He can't run and take off. When a pocket collapses, he's not really good breaking the pocket and throwing on a run. And I hate to be tough on Garrett like that because he seemed like a really good dude. I've been in there. I've been interviewing them guys. But you need Michael Van Buren out there. He showed that he can throw the ball and that he could tuck it and run. Look at Chambliss, man. If you didn't hear that Trinidad Chambliss is a Heisman Trophy candidate, that he's a potential first-round pick. Now, who would you take based on that game, watching them go up against each other? Who would you take if they went up against each other? You would take Trinidad Chambliss. That boy looked amazing. He gave LSU all kind of fits. You know, he was able to throw the ball deep. He was able to throw it across the middle. He mostly threw it to the right. And then that last play, oh my goodness, the last play had me like, what? When LSU could have got one stop, I think it was 4th and 3 with 1:27 seconds left. If you could have stopped there, you had a chance to get to tie that game up. So I think the tight end was in the slot or he was on the line and he ran like a short drag. Wide open, bruh. Nobody even in the vicinity. So then he slid and basically gave himself up to keep the clock going. Just, again, I think the defense was wore out. They're tired. And they're not getting anything from the offense, man. Caden Durham is supposed to be the number one, one of the number one recruits in the nation coming out of high school, and he hasn't been able to get going, man. He hasn't been able to run. Juwan Johnson hasn't been able to run. They're not getting a great push on the O-line. So, it just been a lot of, I think it starts, I think the biggest issue with LSU's offense is the quarterback, the lack of aggression and consistency from the O-line, which is affecting their running game. If you got a good O-line, you don't really, I don't want to say you don't need a great running back, but you can work with that if you got a great O-line that gets a push, that stay on their man, that lock on their man. So many times I've seen 71 and I don't know if it's 56 or 65 or, I can't remember, Mabanga or what's his name? The one that start with a C. Them dudes, they watching the dudes swim past them and they one step short, they reaching and lunging for dudes and they getting beat left and right, man. So that O-line needs a lot of work, but let me know what y'all thought. There's a lot I could talk about, man. Masur Delane's probably the shining spot on that team. Xavion Thomas doing a lot of running out of the backfield and stuff like that. Some of them, they do too much lateral too on offense. It's too much. Stop throwing these wide receiver screens off. Man, work the middle of the field. Work up the seams. Work down the sideline. Hilton had 2 big passes thrown to him that I think 2 of them or one of them might have been, one of them for sure was a PI. But if he would have threw it into the end zone and let him walk to it and let him, it would have been a touchdown. So I don't know if Nuss's arm is hurt. I don't know if he got it in him to throw the passes. But anyway, they better do something quick. They got a hell of a schedule coming up here. They still got to play Arkansas, Bama, South Carolina, most of the SEC, right? And they just dropped the 13th in the rankings. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. CHAMPSIDE, checking out. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I've been interviewing, covering LSU at the games, interviewing Coach Kelly, interviewing Nuss and Delane, all them guys, Caden. And I think a lot of people probably going to say, well, why didn't you spend more time talking about Coach Kelly? I guess I should, right? It's going to fall on him, man. I see a lot of people calling for him, his job and saying he get overpaid and that, it's always something. If it's not the offense, it's the defense and the play calling. And I think there is something missing with that offensive play calling, honestly. Baker on defense been pretty good. Like I said, I didn't like how he adjusted to the pass game against Ole Miss, but let's see what they do against South Carolina. I don't know if Sellers is dealing with that injury or what, but he probably going to be a problem for them as well, right? So that offense needs to do their job and help them out. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. CHAMPSIDE, checking out. Peace.